quality with Redland sheets and towels.
I don't know what I did there. You say, if you push the wrong button, you can crash the plane, Robin. This is the problem. This is why I don't fly an airplane. I can't even control a mixing board. 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It wasn't an accident that I mentioned airplanes, because in the studio is Matthew Groh. He's been with us before. He's the director of the Ocala Airport, and we are going to talk to everything you ever wanted to know about the Ocala Airport. Is going to happen in the next 24 minutes.
Good morning.
See, I didn't turn my knob up there. Good morning, Matthew. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Matt or Matthew? What do you prefer?
Call me Matt. Matt's great. Matthew, if you're angry with me.
So you're the boss of the whole airport?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what? You don't look old enough, but I remember going to Orlando. We went to Orlando Airport the other day to bring Robin's son there.
Yeah.
And I remember going there when it was probably not much bigger than the Gainesville Airport, and that part is still there. I can still see the part that used to be what I used to go to, if that makes
That's now the
sense.
executive airport down there.
Oh, is that what it's called
It
now?
used to be the main airport.
Oh, sure.
All those years ago.
But Ocala Airport has always been sort of kind of the size it is now, right?
It has been. We've had spurts of growth here and there. You know, the recession kind of slowed everything down a bit, but we've seen a resurgence lately.
And what do we credit that to?
Well, there's a lot of different reasons. You know, when businesses do well, we're doing well.
Oh, okay. And specifically the horse industry or everything?
Everything. The equine industry, the logistics industry that's in town, all the other businesses. That's really the reason that the Ocala Airport is there, is to support business in the community, corporate aviation, private aviation.
When President Bush visited the villages, his airplane was there, I think, right?
Indeed, yes. We've had a couple VIP visitors every election year or so. We'll get somebody flying in.
Well, the reason I bring it up, and I know you get this question all the time, we see an airplane that size, you say, well, then how come we can't have, like JetBlue or something there?
So the airline question, it's the number one question I'm always asked whenever I'm doing public presentations. You know, if the airlines thought they could make $1, they'd be here already.
So it's a business thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because we could accommodate them tomorrow based on the way that we operate the airport under our rules and our regulations and how we fit within the FAA system. Literally, we could accommodate them tomorrow.
Well, I think the average person in this area, when they saw that tower being built,
right,
that's what they thought. They thought, oh, gosh, this is the first step. Now we'll start to see whatever airlines they had in mind landing here, right?
Yeah, no, the tower was interesting. We have such a diverse fleet mix of airplanes that come and go out of the Ocala Airport, from little Piper Cubs flying approach speeds around 60 miles an hour to Boeing 757s flying horses, or team charters flying approach speeds closer to 200 miles an hour. That difference really required some positive control, and that's what justified the tower back in 2009.
And the tower's open 24 hours a day,
No.
7 days a week?
No, the tower's open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Oh, okay.
And they have 5 people on staff there, and they rotate their shifts.
Is their job as high anxiety as you always hear about with flight controllers?
You'll have to ask them, but personally, I love visiting the control tower. They have the best view in all of Ocala. They get the best sunrises. They get the best sunsets. Maybe you should have the tower manager here on the radio. I'll recommend that.
Maybe we could do I would love to do the interview from the tower. So tell me, are you here to announce something? Is there a building spurt we're going to see?
Right. So we've been designing a new general aviation terminal building for a couple years now. We've been in the pre-design phase. We've been securing all the different grants and financial resources to help pay for it. And just yesterday, we selected the contractor. We've posted the notice of award. It's not official yet. I think there's like a delay period, but basically we're going to build a 17,000 square foot general aviation terminal building. It will kind of bring together all the different services that are currently on the airport, but fragmented and spread out throughout the airport. We're going to bring it to one central location and create a brand new doorway into our community from the airport. So it'll be the first thing that an airplane sees when they land. It'll be the last thing they see when they leave Ocala. So we want to make a really great first and last impression when people come and visit and leave our community.
And what kind of services are offered now that are like in a big hub out there?
So
that
we've
need
got
to be consolidated.
That's a good question. We've got the fuel service provider, Sheltair Aviation. In the industry, they call it an FBO, a fixed-based operator.
Okay.
It's basically a gas station for the airplanes, a concierge for our community. They'll coordinate your catering, your fuel maintenance, car rentals, lodging, things like that. So they'll be based out of that building. We've got 3 different rental car companies that will be there. The airport administration, which is currently in a hangar, we're going to be in the new building, so we'll be able to release the space that we're in right now, so we'll create some more opportunities on the airport. And then we'll have a much larger restaurant space and meeting rooms, better public circulation areas.
Is the restaurant one of the best kept secrets of Ocala?
I think it is. I was just there for breakfast.
What is the actual name of the restaurant?
It's the Tailwinds Cafe.
Tailwinds Cafe. Okay.
And that's open to the public? Or?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Great view of the apron, the ramp area. You can see all the different airplanes
Oh,
flying.
wow. See, I love watching airplanes. Ever since I was a kid. In fact, I'm disappointed now when we go to the bigger airports that I can't watch the planes. Because I used to be able to go to the roof in LaGuardia or Kennedy. I can't remember where I used to go, but I used to go upstairs and watch the airplane. You can't do it anymore.
Well, the new terminal building, once it's built we think it'll be open in July of 2019. We'll have great views of airplanes. You'll be able to go there, get a burger, and just see all the different activity on the airport.
And what's the biggest change for you as the administrator or as the boss? What is your title again? You are the
Airport director.
The director, sorry. The director.
The biggest. Well, up until the terminal, it was the control tower, and now we've worked so hard on the terminal. This is it's going to be huge for the airport and the tenants on the airport. I'm really proud that we can give this to the tenants. It's badly needed.
Well, maybe
it's going
to
create a lot of opportunity on the airport, some expansion opportunities for existing businesses and for new businesses.
Is it a hope of yours? I don't mean to interrupt. I'm so sorry, Matthew.
No problem.
Is it a hope of yours that maybe an airline will be, like once the new terminal is built, is that something you hope will happen? Or are you kind of happy the way it is without an airline being there?
No, I'm hoping for any kind of new business on the airport, whether it's an airline or an airplane charter or aircraft maintenance. Paint shop would be great. I think we're well positioned to accommodate any kinds of new aviation business, and ultimately, it may be up to the business community that may lure an airline to this community. It's not going to be a over-aggressive and eager airport director. It's going to be the people that are actually going to be paying for the airline tickets that would actually attract the airline here. I think we're in a good position for it, though.
Are there any charters available now?
You can charter an airplane out of Ocala to any of the 5,000 airports that are listed as public use airports in the United States. Anywhere you want to go. You can
explain that to me. So how does that work? I mean, who flies those charters?
Well, I mean, there's any number of different charter companies. Hundreds, thousands of them across the country. There are charter brokers that you could call up and say, I want to charter an airplane and go from here to Key West or here to, literally 5,000 different airports in the United States. The difference between an airline and a charter, in an airline, you are renting the seat. In a charter, you are renting the aircraft. So the prices can vary depending on the airplane that you want to rent. And if you get a large group of people and you're all going to the same place, whether maybe you're doing a business trip or you've got a big family outing, it it could benefit you for making those inquiries and getting those prices. It's certainly more convenient than driving to Orlando, waiting in line to go through security.
Yeah. Well, that's the ad that Dan and Brad did is about that very thing, not waiting in line and going through all that, not custom stuff, but what do you call it?
Security.
Security, yeah. Yeah, well, what about customs? What if we chartered to go to, I don't know, where would you need
Bahamas.
Bahamas, yeah.
So you could leave the Ocala airport and go to the Bahamas, but coming back, you would have to stop and clear customs.
Which is where?
There's a number of different airports along the coast that you could pick from.
Oh, okay. So the customs we used to have at Ocala is gone.
That's right, yeah. The customs was here for a few years. I think it was from 02 to 04, and they haven't been back.
Oh, okay. And why were they here, and why did they leave?
There was a foreign trade zone in the area, and they were tied to that. It got to be very expensive to operate, and they left in 04. We've been looking at bringing him back. I think there's some opportunity, especially with the equine industry, maybe bringing some international traffic, international horse transport.
You would think
would be great.
You would think.
I think there's an opportunity there, and we'll continue to look at that.
Yeah, because the Pasofino show, that's across from the airport every year, and they come from South America. They come from all over the world with their horses, and they do transport them in the planes.
They do. It's the most amazing sight to see the horses come and go off the airplanes, the way they load them up there. They bring all 6 or 7 different tractor trailers full of horses. I'm not a horse person. I like them. I just don't know much about them. I know what they eat and I know where it goes, but that's about it. So, but to see the operation, to move these beautiful animals from the truck onto the ramp into the aircraft, and then they launch it out of the Ocala airport is a great sight. It's really neat.
And how do you keep up with all the regulations for an airport? Do you have inspectors that come every year to like OSHA or something like that?
How do I keep up? I have a great staff that helps me keep up with all that stuff, because they do. They whether the FAA is changing regulations or they're simply changing an acronym for something.
There's a lot of acronyms.
Well, there is a lot of acronyms, and just when the pilot community is used to all the acronyms, they end up changing them. But they mean the same thing, but they'll change them. There are a lot of regulations. We're inspected annually by the FAA. We had the last inspection was in October, and we passed without discrepancy. It's a 2-day inspection, pretty intensive, daytime, nighttime. They look at our airport rescue and firefighting capabilities, and our fencing, our training, our paperwork. Any number of items.
I don't know if this is a dumb question or not, but I've often wondered this, so I'll ask it. I often wondered if the land on both sides of the runway, like in other words, across Highway 40 and then across the road, whatever that road is that the school is on, there's nothing there. There's no homes or anything there. Do you guys own that land?
No. We have 1,500 acres on the airport, and the boundaries are 60th Avenue, Southwest 60th Avenue.
Okay, that's what it is, 60th. Okay.
State Road 40 on the north, 38th on the south, and just west of the Ocala Regional Sportsplex is the western extent of the airport property. Now, the fields north of State Road 40, north of the airport, those are privately owned.
Because I always wonder why there's no homes there. I thought, well, maybe you guys own it and it has to be kept vacant for whatever, maybe like plane crashes or something.
I think it's zoned agricultural on the north end, maybe commercial, industrial, right along State Road 40 on the south end. That's part of on top of the world's long-term vision. So eventually there could be some homes on the south end of the airport.
I mean, every city you land in, there's always homes it seems like abutting right up against the airport. So.
Yeah, airports tend to attract those.
So when will we see the construction start?
Break ground summer of 2018 on the terminal.
Coming up.
Yep, coming up, and we'll hopefully move in by summer of 19.
And again, you know what this is going to do? This is going to generate questions. Oh my gosh, are we going to have an airline here now? So you're going to have the same questions you had from the tower.
That's okay. That's all right. Questions are good, and the publicity is great. And if more and more people are aware of the airport, more and more of them will come out.
How important is public relations for the airport?
Oh, it's huge. And if we can invite the general public onto the airport and teach them about aviation, about who we are and how we interact with our community.
Oh, wow.
It's always a great thing. We're going to have a couple different events this year. We're in the planning stages of an open house sometime in late April. And then I think we'll have a kind of a mini event, like a fall fest of sorts, sometime in October. So that's what's on the schedule as far as open houses.
And about 3 years ago, you hosted a Marion County disaster event where people would come over and have all of the safety issues addressed.
Yes, yeah, and I think we had the Hurricane Hunter,
yes,
the C-130 flown by NOAA at the time. That was something else. Yes,
we took off from that airport in a B-17.
B-52. Or was it a B-17?
I don't know. I don't
Can't
remember.
remember.
Probably
It was big.
B-17.
It was big.
Oh, really? Okay, so here's the story. We went down there. My dad was a World War II veteran, and we went down because we had been talking about it. We went down there, and we had some kind of passes because of the radio show. I guess we did a trade because it's not cheap. It's like $350 to fly in that thing.
That's
person.
correct. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
well
so,
worth it, though.
Yeah. Well, and see, we were kind of privileged because we had these passes. And I can't remember, was it?
It was you and Alex. We're going to go up, and your dad and mom and I were going to.
And what happened?
Watch you.
And you ended up going.
Yeah, and then somebody from the Gainesville Sun couldn't come, so then they gave me the other pass.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
It was fabulous.
Oh, good.
Fabulous. It was absolutely outstanding.
And we flew over Travolta's home.
Oh, okay.
And I wondered if everybody who flies says, "Can you take me to Travolta's home?" Is that a common request?
We hear either
Everybody
that or
wants
does he fly into the airport?
Does
Where
it?
does he live?
Does he fly into your airport?
Maybe.
Oh, you're not allowed to say.
We've seen his Qantas plane there occasionally.
He sold that.
Oh, he did?
He did. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay,
are you a
excellent.
pilot?
I am. I started flying when I was 13.
Wow.
I did.
You flew before you drove a car?
I did. Yes.
Wow.
And it wasn't airplanes. It was hot air balloons.
Oh, that's awesome.
I started flying hot air balloons when I was 13.
Did your dad know?
Yes. Yeah. I blame my dad for my aviation career. Or credit him, I should say. But he was never a pilot, but he loved aviation. He's an artist, and he used to draw and paint airplanes and doodle them
Just
or
loved
sketch
it,
them.
huh?
And he just got me interested, and I was fortunate enough to live down the road from a private airstrip with a grass runway, and this gentleman, he's since deceased. His name was Terry Harrison. He had Harrison Air. He had 4 hot air balloons. He had a Cessna 175.
Wow.
He had a fabric-covered biplane. And it was an awesome experience as a kid growing up, and that's what got me involved in aviation. I started learning how to fly, got my balloon license, got my private pilot license, went to my my commercial, my instrument.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Here I am today.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I think I understand the science behind a balloon, but I don't understand the science behind a blimp. I don't know what makes it go up and down. I mean, with a hot air balloon, you stop the heat.
Right, you
Right?
control the amount of heat
Right.
in the envelope.
But how does I hope this isn't too stupid or out of the context here.
I'm not an airship pilot, but I know enough. It's helium, bags of helium or containers of helium inside the airship, and that's what helps
Make it go up.
And they carry water, so they can change the buoyancy, and they keep that neutral, I guess, buoyancy, and
So
they've got an elevator,
hover at
and
a certain height.
Wow.
so they can climb and descend.
That's pretty amazing.
I've never been in one. It'd be neat.
Go
It's-
ahead, I'm sorry.
Is if a person has a plane and they're looking for a place to make Ocala Airport their home, do they rent out hangar space or do they rent out a piece of the tarmac? How does that work?
Both. If they want to park their airplane outside. There's tie downs. They can do that. We do have a limited number of T hangars available. There's actually a wait list for T hangars. There's 20 people on the wait list. There's 8 buildings, 101 units, and they're all full right now.
Is that right?
Yes.
And then before a pilot goes up in the air with their plane, do you have certified people over there that check out the whole plane and everything, or is that up to the individual pilot to do that?
So it is the pilot's responsibility to ensure that his airplane is airworthy, and he has to do a pre-flight inspection. He has to brief his passengers when he gets, if he's going to carry passengers, and get in your airplane and talk to the tower, get clearance to take off and go.
Were you there or in the area in 1993? No.
No, I moved here in 2005 from Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
1993. Here's what I remember. We had a tornado.
Oh, I did hear about it. I've seen the pictures of that.
Yeah, and
Yes.
and it tore up that airport. I was happy. Hey Dan, I was in what was that place called in Disney? Disney.
Oh gosh.
Pleasure Island. I was in
That's
Pleasure Island.
Yes.
And it was pouring and raining, and I said, oh my gosh, it's really bad. So anyway, we drove back to Ocala, and when I drove past the airport, I was like, oh my gosh, what happened here? And then the next day I found out that a tornado went through it, and the hangars were just like torn apart like tin cans.
Airplanes were flipped upside down.
Yes.
I think there was an airplane across the street at Ocala breeder sales. I mean, it was a
Oh, I
mess.
don't know. I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
I read the reports and saw the
There was
saw
an
the pictures. It was-
entire house near the airport
Terrible.
that disappeared.
Yeah.
And the people were missing. Nobody knew where they were.
no.
And the fortunate thing was they were actually visiting family in Jacksonville, and they didn't even know. They didn't know their house was gone. They came home. They driving down there through the neighborhood. Oh my gosh,
awful.
what happened here? No house. But thank God they weren't home.
Wow.
It's one of those moments. So
Are you actively seeking employees for the airport, or are you pretty much?
No. So the airport is owned and operated by the city of Ocala. So I'm and my staff are city of Ocala employees. We're not hiring at this time, but there are quite a few other companies on the airport that may be. I can't speak for them.
Now, when the tower is closed in the evenings, do you have a beacon or something there in case other planes land at night, or do they know not to land there at nighttime?
That's a great question. The tower is open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, unless there's maintenance or some sort of an emergency that we're dealing with. But typically, it's open 24 hours a day, and the tower is operated from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m., it reverts back to uncontrolled or non-towered airspace. And at that time, the pilots talk to each other to coordinate their separation. It's basically from 1962, which was the first day that the Ocala Airport at our current location opened, until the year 2010, the airport was non-towered, and that's how airplanes flew
wow.
to and from. They talked to each other. I'm on base. I'm on downwind. I'll follow you into land.
Wow.
That's how they do it. So that's how they do it at night when the tower's not operating.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I've always
cool.
loved watching planes. I at one point thought I'd like to learn how to fly, but you saw how I worked the mixing board, so I'd probably crash. And I don't want to say goodbye until we make sure we got everything out there that you wanted to today. Is there anything we should have asked that we didn't?
Well, first off, I think there's less buttons in an airplane that are on your mixing board, so I think you'd be okay in an airplane. But I'm just happy to be invited here and to talk about the airport. It's a passion of mine. I'm fortunate to work in an industry that I love, and
Nice.
That's my sage advice to everyone today.
Are you married, children? What's your personal story?
I am. I'm married to a wonderful lady, and we are empty nesters and enjoying.
Oh my gosh.
You don't look
enjoying
old enough
life.
to be empty nester. Wow. So I have one little thing I want to tell you. Do I have time for this?
I think so.
I won a 2-liter bottle of soda one time. Let me tell you how I won this. I bet my nephew, because he didn't think there was a Denellen airport. And I said, I bet you there is. He said, there is not. He says, I know Denellen. There's no Denellen airport. I said, yes, there is. And I said, I'll bet you a 2-liter bottle of Coke. I won. There is a Denellen airport, isn't there?
There sure is, and they're a great neighbor, and we help each other a lot. So, and they have a great storied history as well, an old military airfield back in World War II. So
Oh, wow, I didn't
should
know
have
that.
them on too.
That's
All I know is
interesting.
I got 2 liters of Coke out of them. Matthew Groh, what an honor to have you in the show. On the
you.
show. Thank you for being here with us today. That was
Thank
fun.
you.
And we will be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A partly sunny sky for today. We'll see a high between 76 and 79. Tonight, patchy clouds, lows mostly in the 50s to around 60. On Saturday, overall partly sunny sky. A nice afternoon, highs in the low 70s. Times of clouds and sun are warmer on Sunday with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, especially in the afternoon. High temperatures in most spots in the low 80s on Sunday. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Palm Garden wants to get to the heart of the matter. If you've been in the hospital as a cardiac patient, maybe you have a pacemaker or congestive heart failure or an arrhythmia, or perhaps you're a heart bypass patient, then consider Palm Garden as your rehab choice. With proven outcomes second to none, Palm Garden fixes broken hearts. Call today at 855